you could add into it, like your Taekwondo, your boxing, and then, you start to refine your skills deeper and deeper, then yeah, you can become like a force to be reckoned with, right? And also like it's going to depend on your personality, on your style, on your like how your proportions, if you're tall and lanky, if you're short and stocky, if you're fast twitch, if you're more of an endurance guy, like the Diaz brothers, where they just punch in volume nonstop kind of thing. So does that would you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Like you have to have a practical perspective on it as well. If you're a stocky short guy, don't waste your time trying to learn a ranged striking style, because you're going to be the short guy. You're never going to be able to use your range to its fullest potential, because you're always going to have a shorter reach than your opponent. So why waste your time learning a martial art that specializes in ranged fighting when you'll automatically be at a massive disadvantage? So maybe you'll be able to equalize in a sense, your range versus somebody who has more reach than you, like, because now, since you're a ranged fighter, you can sort of make up that ground of you having a shorter reach. But no, that's not how it's going to work in practical terms. If you're a short guy, stocky, that means in your weight class, you're always going to be shorter. So you need to learn how to get in close. So you're going to want to study a martial art that teaches you a close range pressure style of striking. If you're a tall, lanky guy, you're almost always going to have more reach than your opponent. Your opponents are almost always going to be slightly heavier and shorter in your weight class, right? So how can you turn that to your advantage? Well, you study a style that specifically teaches how to dominate at range, how to keep range, how to control your opponent from range, right? So you want to choose a specialization that matches that body type. So Taekwondo would be something great for that. If you a short, stocky guy, maybe you'd want to, Taekwondo might not be best for you if you're not going to be able to cut. I mean, stocky with your adequate muscular build and all that, like that's just your build. I'm not talking about if you have a 30-pound belly fat gut hanging off you. No, I mean, if your natural body size is short and stocky while you're fit, then you'll want something that will teach you how to fight at close range in the pocket. So it's more of a boxing style, more not a classic boxing style, but more of like a pressure style of boxing. So you be realistic about your weaknesses and your strengths physically, where you can improve them, where you can't, and then you choose your specialization according to that. So in my opinion, I mean, it just makes sense to me, right?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea right there. Like you look at yourself first, and you kind of have to think, okay, how tall am I? What's my weight class? You got to figure that out. And then from there, once you figure out your weight class that you're going to be fighting in, right? Then from there, you're like, okay, how tall are these guys in my weight class? And in my weight class, am I tall for my weight class? Am I small, or am I right in the middle? And then from there, you can kind of like decide what you need as a basis. You could specialize maybe a little bit later, but yeah, that could be a good indication right there. If you're in the middle though, then it gets a little bit more complicated, because now you have to be able to fight taller guys and shorter guys.
Yeah, or you could just make a choice to live life at a leaner body weight, or to hit the gym, add a bunch of weight so you can move up and be more towards the top of your class. So you can really choose one or the other, close range or long range. Unless you're like really, really experienced and you have experience in both styles, because some fighters do, like, and you have to, like, I am usually the tallest guy in my weight class, but in practical terms, in the gym, I'm almost always the smallest. So I've learned that I have to, I have my range style, but I also have to learn how to fight in the pocket as well, because I'm going to be sparring dudes who are taller. And unless I just want to get picked off all day, I have to move in. Right. Mm-hmm. So I have to learn, I have to learn the other side of it too. Plus, when you learn how your opponents are going to fight, it helps you better predict how they're going to come at you in the ring, what strategies they're going to use. Right. So I guess that would be the advantage of being in the middle of your class and not choosing one or the other is you learn range fighting, you learn pressure fighting, and then you adjust what you're going to do according to your opponent. Oh, he's taller. Okay, I got to do pressure. Oh, he's shorter. I'm going to do ranged. But the downside is you have to spend way more time training because now you have to train 2-3 different strategic styles instead of just always focusing on pressure, always focusing on ranged. So I guess upside and downside, right?
Yeah. But if you enjoy training and and you enjoy like fighting, I mean, it's not a big deal. And that's exactly the problem I'm having now. Because when I started doing some striking again, about maybe 3-4 months ago, the guys who I was training with, they were all a lot bigger than me. So for those of you guys who don't know, I'm 5'8", and right now I'm 145 pounds. I'm not a big guy. And then from there, so the guys I was training with, one of them was 6 foot tall, I think it was 215. The other one was 6'5", about 290. So these guys were like helping me train and develop. But I mean, even when they were going light, horrible. And the whole thing with these guys they were telling me, okay, I got to come in and I got to, I can't stay too far out because they're going to pick me apart. But at the same time, it was difficult for me to come in because when I would come in, I would get jabbed. And, because of the size difference, I mean, these guys, I'm going to exaggerate here, but let's say their arm is like 50 pounds. So they just flick their jab. And if I get caught with that jab coming in, it hurts, right? And then from there, there's fear. It's called fear, So then you're like, you don't want to. And they're like, yeah, just cut, slip the punch and come in. I'm like, yeah, but, so there's a little. I was very tentative. So it took me a lot of time to get over that with them. And then after that, once I started fighting with guys my size, I started going to like Muay Thai classes and all. That's when I realized, wait a second, it's completely different. I'm fighting a guy my size. Now the jabs aren't hurting as much, but I can't stay I could stay outside more. I don't need to come in as much. I could still I could do well, like staying on not on the outskirts, but at a distance.
At range, yeah.
At a range. Whereas these guys at a range, I was getting killed. I couldn't do anything. And so it was fun. So then from there, I realized now, okay, it was great training with these guys and they're teaching me a lot, but I got to train with other people too, like a little bit more my size and a little bit shorter too. That's fine, but I'm right there in the middle where I have to train with, there's guys, I'm like, probably for my weight class, I wouldn't be the tallest and I wouldn't be the shortest. Like I'd probably be right in the middle. So I'd have to learn how to fight in the pocket and then at a distance as well. So, but it's fun though.
Yeah. It's the only benefit you're getting from sparring with somebody way bigger is you get used to pressure. They get used to control. That's it. Because it's not going to help you when you're competing. Because everything is going to be so different when you're competing against someone's your size and weight, the reach, the range, the angles you can move in on them. So you're not really improving how you're going to be fighting, at least not much when you're actually competing. If you're, going up against tall, massive, huge dudes all the time, right? No, it will help you getting used to pressure. Cause like when you go back to guys your own size and they throw hard chests to you, you're like, no. But as far as strategically, no, you can even develop, weird habits from doing that. So every once in a while, it's good to take a really small guy and a big guy, and put them together. And the big guy has to learn how to use control. He has to, learn that responsibility, especially if he wants to be a coach later. And then the little guy, it helps teach him bravery and courage and how to take hard shots and not be a little pansy. But as far as for strategic growth, no, it's no good, or it's very little benefit. But what you really want is you want people more. They don't have to be your exact weight class. They can be like a couple weight classes above you. That's good too. Or a couple weight classes below. But you keep the range instead of the range being from here. It's more like from here as far as height to weight class difference, right?